I love Chris Dunn's theory, the solid state electron harvester. I think it's fantastic. It's sensational. But what I like about Jeff's theory, Jeff is his name?
Yeah.
What I like about his theory is that it's kind of a boring theory, but it also makes so much fucking sense because he went in, like the way he describes how that Nazi scientist, Fritz, I think his last name was, who went and basically recreated that ammonia production thing, the device that creates ammonia, and he reverse engineered the inside of I think it's the step pyramid. And that's what his hypothesis is the step pyramid was creating ammonia. And he created a device that completely replicates the inside of the step pyramid that creates ammonia, this Nazi guy who was studying studying the pyramids. And then he thinks that the red pyramid was using the chemical that was coming out of the step pyramid to create so I can't remember all the names of the chemicals. I get so confused, but it's the chemistry stuff gets confusing when you start to get deep into it. But essentially he thinks that the pyramids were responsible for fertilization and agriculture on the Giza Plateau.
Yeah, and that's an interesting one. I've had him on the channel once.
Jeffrey Drum, that's his last name, Drum.
And to be fair, when I said that Christopher Dunn is the one that I identify most, I haven't done a deep dive on Land of Chem's theory. I figured that next time I go to Giza, I'd link up with him personally and do it, like get right from him. So I can't say that when I say about Christopher Dunn, that's not taking anything away from Land of Chem because I can't speak to his theory. But that now I need to go down that rabbit hole.
So he thinks that the step pyramid was creating methane gas, which methane gas is used for like heating, lighting, and metallurgy. So they could have been using this gas for so many different things. And the methane gas in the step pyramid was then harnessed in the red pyramid to create the ammonia. And I guess there's all kinds of other explanations that he gives for the ammonia.
This is my favorite part.
What?
Well, Land of Chem was the original name of Egypt, and Chem has its base in alchemy, which is where we get chemistry.
Yep.
And they were known for the land of Chem was black.
Yep. They refer to
fertile.
Yep. And the soil off the Nile. And a lot of people don't realize that Kemet was the original name for Egypt before they called it Egypt. That was the original name, and they called it the Cometians. And chematology, like Yusuf Awiyan, and that's the thing a lot of people don't realize. Like that was the Egyptians themselves today, the local populace refers to the Cometians as building the pyramids. That was something that floored me when I was there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and a lot of the locals there don't think that it was for a tomb. I was surprised to see that as well. A lot of them think it was just something amazing beyond our understanding.
So when he was in here, he was also explaining to me how there's this layer of there's this chemical layer that's calcified itself on the inside of the chambers in the step pyramid, the red pyramid, and even in the great pyramid. And it's like by design because those chemicals that those pyramids were creating would have eroded the rocks. So, and the conventional explanation is it's bat shit or like bat piss.
Right.
But
which it reeks of in there. It's so noticeable. It's unreal.
But he also says once you get to the very top, that top chamber in the step pyramid, there's 3 of them, right? And they all kind of look like the Grand Gallery, how they kind of angle up. They get smaller as they go up. He says when they were pushing water into those chambers, it was pushing the gas up into the top of the chamber, compressing the gas, which heats the gas up, right? Yep. And that's what created that chemical reaction into ammonia. And then he also thinks that it was a similar process in the Great Pyramid, but the Great Pyramid, I think he believes, was creating sulfuric acid, and somehow the other 2 pyramids were used. I have to watch that podcast again, but it was fascinating. It was really compelling the way he explained that.
Well, here's something that goes along those lines. I met this gentleman when I was in Egypt on the tour that I was on. He's a president of an air compressor company in Canada. And that's what he was saying. He was like, this reminds me of an air compressor, like the internal structure and layout. he said that like the way it's designed, you could support enormous amounts of pressure in there.
Yeah.
And that was not in the context of anything from Land of Chem. This was like 4 years ago. I don't think Land of Chem was making videos at that time. This is before that. And so like that was his intuitive thoughts on it. Mm-hmm. He was like, this seems like like something for, compression. And I'm like, that's interesting, but I never pieced the dots on that.
Yeah, man. And then there's like also on some of those pyramids, there's these there's like these underground channels that the conventional explanation is it was for rainwater, to collect rainwater. And there's these conduits that go underground that connect from the pyramids and they come out into these collection bowls. I don't know if you've seen the collect. You've been there, right?
Yeah.
There's these big collection bowls that like, why would they be collecting rainwater?
Yeah.
And he thinks that was part of like the chemical collection process or something they were doing.
So they're just for ceremonies.
Yeah, right.
Danny,
right.
come on now. It's religious. Just drop it.
No, I'll tell
That's
you,
what they say about everything out there.
the part of Jeff's hypothesis that I found the most interesting, and of course, it's the most mundane, so it has the most chance, in my opinion, of being accurate, was they would build things to get zapped with lightning because it charges the ground to make for better harvests. That's something that that's something that the ancients would very easily have been able to notice. A lightning striking the ground is the kind of thing you're gonna talk about, man. And if it starts farming better there, you're gonna notice that. And so that part of it is interesting. That part of it is definitely interesting. The chemical parts of it and stuff are interesting too. Don't get me wrong.
It's like sonochemistry. The way he explained it to me in the Great Pyramid, like it's like sound resonance. There's clearly some sort of resonant frequency happening in that Great Pyramid.
Yeah.
And when you mix that with chemistry, apparently that's a real thing.
Yeah. It is. It's it needs more testing. Same as the digging in the ground and everything else. So it would need more testing. But the first part, that part of it in particular, was I would have had him on and I was listening to him like, okay, man, that's a nice foundation, a good starting point for this, because I it's not too out there, man. It's not out there at all.
Yeah.
Well, what's far more out there is suggesting that it was a tomb for the pharaohs. Like, they've never
Flint Dibble.
Yeah, they have never found. Never mind, they never found a mummy in any Egyptian pyramid ever, because you can just say, oh, they looted it. Okay, fine. Never mind that there's no glyphs on any of the walls. Like you'll find at every single other known Egyptian tomb, it is floor to ceiling in glyphs. Amazing artwork that shows the depiction of their lives, and in the internal structure and layout. Like a lot of people that haven't been or are not familiar with the mapping of the Great Pyramid, as an example, they would think that it's like a maze to like hide the pharaoh. It's going to be complicated. Mm-hmm. No, you just go down, you go up, and you're in there. It's a straight shot. It's bizarre. But when you look at it from like a side angle of the map, it is absolutely it's just confusing. It doesn't feel like a tomb at all.
Right.
That's and perhaps it could have been used as a tomb later on. But if I had, my best guess is that it just simply was not designed with the purpose of being a tomb. I really don't think so. I don't know that for a fact. And anyone that says otherwise, it's like nobody really knows. And that's kind of the fun part about this. But it's like, that's just not my impression. And I went to Egypt with people that were very skeptical of the alternative theories. They're like, surely this was a tomb. And there was multiple people that said, I'm not so sure about that now. Like after walking through it, they're like, this is weird. So the mystery is real.
Did you ever go in the subterranean chamber?
Yes.
What was that like?
Really creepy. It's like 100 feet underground, and it's dark. Without light, it would be just cave black. You have to crawl through dirt through a tight little shaft just to get into it. And when you're in there, it's just quiet, and it just the very chamber itself looks so eroded. It's weird. That was really fun to be in there.
Yeah, that was. I don't think I could do that. I'd be too claustrophobic. But like, that's just. Fuck. If you're trying to explain that place being a pharaonic burial site or a tomb, how do you explain that subterranean chamber that it's like almost impossible for anyone to get down? And then you have that weird little shaft at the end of it on like the south side, I think, that goes nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah,
there's a lot of things like that.
Hydraulic mechanistic machine. I don't know, man. It's mind blowing.
What is funny is how many people will try to deny any sort of mystery with it. When they just try to be like tomb and tomb alone. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that attitude.
Ropes and pulleys.
Yeah. I mean, when even the Egyptologists can't agree on exactly how it was made, it's like when can we not have a little bit of speculation and have a conversation? But instead they turn it into this fight. It has to be a battleground. That's really where I that really blew my mind, sticking my nose in here. Like I watched some debunking videos and stuff, but I had no idea how attached to politics a lot of this was going to end up being. And that part really, really hurts my head. It's like, come on, man, what in the actual fuck politically do the big rocks the ancient Egyptians have to do with today? Seriously, please enlighten me. I'm lost on that one.